On this episode of Survive and Thrive 8791, I welcome Carter Gilmore to the Buck and Honey's remote studios. We share his inspiring story. Gilmore, who joined the Wisconsin Badger basketball team in 2020, battled anxiety, depression, and self-doubt. He found strength through faith, family, and asking for help. By trusting the process, he's turned his 2024-25 season into his best yet. His story is inspiring. This will be a good one. Here we go. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. What is up? Wherever you are, whatever you are doing, I hope you're having a great day. Welcome to another episode of Survive and Thrive 8791. I'm your host, Coach Decora. We are in the Buck and Honey's remote studios in the heart of our great capital city of Madison, Wisconsin. And today we are shooting from the James building, somewhere on the 5th floor. So if you're in the area, come and see us. You can follow the podcast on Spotify, Apple Music, iHeartRadio, and YouTube at Survive and Thrive 8791. You can follow the podcast on Facebook as well at Survive and Thrive 8791. Or you can follow me. I'm in it for the followers and the likes on Instagram and Twitter at tdecora8791, as well as hitting me up on Facebook at Tim Decora. I just eclipsed the 4K mark, Carter. Don't forget to hit that subscribe or like button wherever you listen to the show. Leave me a comment if you liked what you heard. If there's a topic or you know a guest who would love to tell their story, email me at tdecora@gmail.com. Glad you could join us today. Our mission is to share stories and conversations that make you cry, laugh, and think, stimulating emotions, creating laughter, and inspiring the mind. A new episode will air on Monday and Thursday morning, featuring a wide range of guests. The podcast will touch on many subjects such as grief, loss of a loved one, recovery, professional setback, divorce, success despite challenges, etc. Our guests will share how they learn to survive and thrive. According to the internet, and the internet is always right, correct, Carter?
Of course, every time.
Of course. And again, if you're like my house, I've got my wife, Sarah, on. I don't need the internet. She's always right.
For sure.
In a study conducted by the NC2A, National Collegiate Athletic Association, of more than 23,000 athletes from all three divisions, that'd be Division I, Division II, and Division III, who participated, this study revealed that mental health concerns are down across nearly every category from online surveys conducted by the NC2A at several points during the 2020 and 21 years. In men's sports, the biggest drops occurred in constantly feeling overwhelmed, down from 25 to 17%, and being mentally exhausted, down from 22 to 16%. The most significant decreases came among Division I sports student athletes. That wasn't necessarily the case with my guest today. Today, I welcome Carter Gilmore to the Buck and Honey's remote studios. Raised in Heartland, Wisconsin, Carter attended Arrowhead High School and is a proud Warhawk. After a stellar career in which he was the all-time leading scorer for the boys basketball program, Carter would have many suitors for his talents. He decided to go with his heart, I'm glad he did, and take his talents to the University of Wisconsin and join the program as a walk-on in 2020. In May 2025, he will graduate with a degree in consumer behavior. Practically family. I've known Carter's grandparents and parents for almost 40 years. I'm so glad and honored that you could join us today. Carter Gilmore, what is up?
Not much. Happy to be here and excited to do this with you.
Yeah, I'm glad you could reserve this broom closet we're in today. We're
on I got.
Yeah, we're on the James. We won't tell you what floor Carter's on, but we had to sneak into floor number 5 here to get into this little study room. So if you're planning to study, you're going to have to put that on hold for a little bit today. What is it like being the unofficial mayor of Madison?
Man, I haven't heard that one yet, but it's been cool just kind of seeing all the tweets, all the DMs, and all the text messages from family and friends, kind of reaching out and their support as well as the fans. So just going out to church and grabbing some coffee with my parents this morning. A lot of fans stopping me, congratulating me, shaking my hand, and saying what's up. So it's just cool that I can be out there and be a light and inspiration to others and help others smile.
Yeah, I was talking to my wife this morning about the mayor of Madison. Yeah, it's really cool. And to be honest, I've been a Badger fan since, it's been a long time. And I don't think there has been the rally around a dude that's been going on. Kind of like you. I liken it to Zach Showalter a little bit. People loved him. And then, before that, maybe Sam Decker. And then, before that, there's probably a couple other guys. But, I'm right next to the student section. And it's really cool to see that people are rallying behind you. And that's why I called you the Mayor of Madison, unofficial Mayor of Madison. Tell us, I'm going to just kind of throw some stuff at you here. And again, we can always go off of how we're feeling, but tell us about your roommate. You got a roommate?
Yep, I got one roommate. His name's Max Klesmet, for those of you know him. So
Nina guy, right?
Yep, from Wisconsin, born and raised. So we kind of lived in the same building for the past couple years, and then this year we ended up moving to a different apartment, moving in together, and living with him. It's been a blast. There's never a dull moment in that apartment, whether it's just us two or our teammates coming over to hang out as well. But yeah, I mean, being with him and just seeing the commitment and the confidence that he has to go about his day, and kind of how he carries himself as a Wisconsin Badger, and how much time he puts in to prepare himself for the games, has really helped me kind of see what it takes to be successful at this level and how to go about it the right way.
I tell you, there's nothing I like better than when he sticks a jumper and somebody knocks him into the front row of the bleachers, or he gets knocked to the ground and he's up and he starts chirping. I like his chirp a little bit. He reminds me of several guys I had played with before, but I like that.
Yeah, no, he's got that fire to him for sure.
Tell us what a day. So you already gave us a little bit of a peek into what a Sunday's like, and I'm glad it's got some church mixed in there. Also some breakfast, but tell us what a day is like in the life of Gilly James. Do you like the Gilly James, by the way?
Yeah, I do like it.
Kind of growing on
yeah,
a little
that
bit.
was Sharif Shambla. Shout out to him. He came up with it back in my practice days when I was on the scout team. Yeah, so a day in the life, normally I only have one class right now, so it's just an internship. So normally there would be a lot more school involved. I'd be in the study room day and night. This semester it's a little more relaxed.
Kind of like me.
Yeah. So I normally wake up around 8 o'clock, shower, get my day started. Then after that I normally, right now I'm starting to study the Bible, so I just started Matthew, learning the Beatitudes and the Sermon on the Mount.
Sprinkle some scripture in there. I like it.
So that's how I try to start my day. Then after that, I've been in the breakfast sandwich. I think I got the best breakfast sandwich in Madison down by now. So,
all right, what do you got for your bread? What kind of bread we going with?
Everything bagel or a croissant, depending on what I got.
Okay. Fits the mindset of a Wisconsin Badger.
Yeah.
No white bread or nothing like that, all right?
And then the real strategy are the two sauces I put on, and everyone knows McTaggart's. I hope you do if you're around here.
McTaggart's, okay.
It's a little hole in the wall over by the frats and sororities on Langdon Street.
Yes, I know where that's at.
Yeah, you'd go down there and make your own breakfast sandwich, but they sell their sauces there. So
they do.
Me and Max made sure to pick up some sauces there, and we come back and make them on our sandwiches at home along with the chili.
So the sauce is like the glue.
Yeah, that's what really changes it. And then there's this chili oil crunch, it's called, from Trader Joe's. All
right, we're sticking with the UW upper echelon theme here, Trader Joe's.
Yeah, so it goes with everything, but that normally starts my day. That breakfast sandwich with some fruit.
Any meat in there at all?
Bacon. Normally bacon. If my mom she brought up some Canadian bacon the other day, and my girlfriend brought up some breakfast sausages to go on at this time. So we switch it up, but majority of the time it's bacon.
All right. So compared to the Platteville sandwiches that your dad and I had at 335 Division Street, we had Wish sandwiches. You know what Wish sandwiches are?
No.
You wish you had something in between the bread. So we shopped at Piggly Wiggly. We didn't shop at Trader Joe's. I don't think we had any sauces. So yeah, we put two pieces of bread together and we wish we had something. So we call those Wish sandwiches.
Yeah, we're living a little better over here now, thankfully.
Yeah, so lunch, then you got to get probably ready for practice.
So then after that, I normally do whatever work I got. Right now I got my internship with the collective, so normally have a little work to do there. So I'll do that for the next hour or two, and then practice normally starts around 2, so I'll get there a little early, around 1:15, give me enough time to get my stuff ready, get some extra shots. up before we start with either film or lift, normally before practice. So get there early, get some shots, then we'll have film, lift, practice normally. That's what we'll have today. So that's about 5 to 6 hours, depending on if we won or lost the night before. Can take the time into consideration. But then once that's done, it's normally me and Max coming back here, seeing if there's any college games on that we can stay up to date with, watch, and after that, it's about ready for time for bed. So that's what an average day in my life looks like.
Average day, I like that you said you're getting some shots. You always got to get that jumper sighted in.
Yeah,
and it is sighted in. I think I saw 44%, so
yeah.
Good stuff. You've had a huge resurgence in your play and a big reason why the Badgers are sitting at 21-6. What do you think? And this might, don't give us all the five. We want to keep everybody kind of in suspense until the end of the episode here. But if it's one of your five or it just pertains to your basketball play, what is one of the biggest reasons why you've started to see some success on the court?
Yeah, I think one of the biggest reasons is just my found confidence again. I think in high school that was one of my strong suits of just believing in myself so much, a little irrationally sometimes. I think back in the day that helped me on the court. I believed in myself so much that it didn't matter how many times I failed or how many times I missed a shot. I always believed the next one was good, or would go out there with just the confidence that I knew I could win and perform at the best of my ability. And my start of my time here, I kind of questioned, my confidence wavered a little bit. And I think that held back my play a lot of times, caused me to pump fake or overthink stuff at times. So this year, just coming out, playing with the confidence and the belief in myself, I think helped a lot, along with just our coaches and our teammates. I think have done a great job. Our coaches have implemented a new offense, a little bit new philosophy, a little more up-tempo. So that's helped, along with our teammates all believing in each other. We all tell each other to take the open shots. We all know what we're all capable of, and we're just speaking into each other's ears.
Yeah, I think there's been that installation of confidence, and Coach Hazy talked about you after that your summer before your senior year. Unbelievable confidence. I wouldn't say, I mean, off the charts confidence, and you averaged 26 points a game. You had that regional, I don't know if it was a regional game of 49 points. I mean, that's a lot of points, and that's playing with a heck of a lot of confidence. And at Northwestern, you hear from the rafters, and I'm getting a little chills right now. I saw it on Instagram, and there was that, I don't even know if I'll do it justice, the Carter Gilmore. Carter Gilmore. Tell us about how you felt that night.
Yeah, I mean, it was just an awesome experience. One I don't think I'll ever forget for sure.
By the way, could you hear those guys up there?
Yeah, I could. I mean, just to be on an away game at Northwestern, I mean, it's a little smaller stadium too, so it's pretty easy to hear. But just to be on an away arena like that, and just to have that much support from the Wisconsin, I mean, I think we had just as many Wisconsin fans as they had Northwestern fans there. But just to have that amount of support, that amount of love, and I was kind of going through the game knowing that I was having a good game, but I knew it would mean nothing without a win. So to get out there with a win, to have that experience, and to have my family there, and a bunch of friends and former teammates as well, I mean, it made it super special, and like I said, a moment I'll never forget. Because
I can't wait to get to the rest of your story in part one, segment one, we got to move on to our sponsor. Our sponsor, Buck and Honey's Restaurants, are a place that people can escape to. For me, it's a great escape from cooking dinner. Do you cook dinner for Max?
Every once in a while, I do.
Every once in a while. With their great food and drink menu, 5-star customer service, and a welcoming and vibrant atmosphere, people keep coming back. With locations in Sun Prairie, Monona, Waunakee, and Mount Horeb, most communities in the Dane County area can get to a Buck and Honey's within 10 to 15 minutes. Drum roll. Have you been to Buck and Honey's?
I have, and my old roommate actually used to work there too, so I got some connections to Buck and Honey's for sure.
On the podcast, our guests follow the format for sharing their story like this. In segment one, we talk about what was it like and what happened. In segment two, we continue to talk about what happened and then get into what it's like now. We'll discuss Carter's 5 suggestions for thriving. Segment one, what was it like and what happened? Tell us about growing up in Heartland, Wisconsin. What's it like over there?
Yeah, it's a great place. Proud to be from Heartland, Wisconsin. I've actually taken a lot of my teammates. Once every summer, we hold a little party back there. for the team. But halfway between here and Milwaukee, doesn't get much better of a location than that. I grew up with 2 sisters and then obviously a wonderful mom and dad who I'm sure most people probably have heard by now that they played basketball at Platteville, and my dad obviously played for Bo Ryan there on his national championship team, and my mom left there as the all-time leading scorer. So grew up in a basketball family. My sister played at Western Illinois for 4 years. And my little sister, she's actually getting over an ACL injury right now, but she's on the come up as well. So grew up in a basketball family in Heartland, and out in the driveway, I still remember all the times me and my dad played out there just pretending we were Sam Decker and Frank Kaminsky and hoping that I'd be here playing one day. So.
Yeah, I think I've snapped off a couple of jumpers or hit the pickleball back on that court a couple times. You have a special person in your life. What's your special person? What's her name?
Her name's Lucy. So yeah, we started dating probably over like 5-6 months now. So yeah, we went to the same high school in Heartland together, Arrowhead, and she came to Madison with me, and known her ever since, but just started dating kind of these last 5 or 6 months.
Not many people know this, but you were an absolute stud on the football field. After taking a couple of years off to focus on basketball, you made the commitment to the UW to walk on, and then your dad's friend Jim, I think, started pestering you. All right, you got the commitment out of the way to walk on. How about playing some football? And so you decided to commit to play football your senior year at Arrowhead. Some people call it Arrowhead University, the football program. What was that like? I know I came to a game and was mesmerized at not only you but also Chim. Mm-hmm. Played for the other team. Yeah. Maybe you can talk about that a little bit, or talk about him a little bit. But tell me about the football in Arrowhead if people don't understand I know what it's like, but paint a picture for the listeners.
Yeah, I mean, growing up, obviously an Arrowhead fan. My best friend, Johnny Orlando, his older brother was on the varsity team when they were really cooking. They had Ben Bredesen and all of them. So I think they went to the state championship, I think like 4 years in a row, and I would often get to skip school with my friend that day, and we'd get to go watch, and just growing up, that was something people I looked up to and something I always wanted to do. So I went out my freshman year, wanted to be the star quarterback and all of that good stuff, and
you were a B teamer.
Yeah, found out right away I was going to be on the B team, so my hopes were crushed right away. But I had a good year on the B team, had a lot of fun. After that, I was maybe football wasn't for me, and decided if I was going to try to play a sport in college that I should focus on basketball and make sure that I could put myself in the best possible situation I could be to go somewhere. And I knew I wanted Wisconsin was always kind of my dream, so I knew I had a lot of work to put in to get there, and obviously with all the work, I still had to be a walk-on. But like you said, once I kind of finally got that commitment out of the way and committed here, I knew that I could kind of focus back on football. And I know Coach Guard's always kind of mentioned he's like to have some football guys add that toughness to their game. So we talked it over with Coach Guard. He obviously was 100% on board with it. So I went out, and I actually had to miss the first 2 games, I think, because I joined late with the AAU season coming to an end. I couldn't remember all the plays, wanted to play quarterback, but realized that it wasn't no longer flag football quarterback, just find the best guy and throw it to him. So I had to switch over to wide receiver. But I remember we played Muskego, and the fans were all chanting, "We want Carter," and the coaches wouldn't put me in. They got me in for one play, half-yard or 50-yard bomb. We ended up short of the end zone, but it was on Hunter Wooler.
Oh, really?
Caught it over him.
Oh, yeah, I think I know him.
Yeah. And then they never played me again in the second half. And I remember I went up to my coach after that. I said, "I'm never sitting out a effing game again," right to his face. And sure enough, after that, I didn't sit out again, and had to spend some extra study halls with the football coach, remembering the plays and stuff like that. But I remember the game you went to with Chim, and I saw what
Chim, for the listeners, can you remind?
Chim Ray DK.
Yes.
He played here for 4 years and went off to Florida last year, and he's actually now getting ready for the NFL draft. But a great friend of mine, actually, who I grew up playing AAU basketball with, great family, and he kind of showed me what a real wide receiver looked like. He ran all over, caught I think like 200 yards, 3 touchdowns. We were able to come out with the win. I got a touchdown right on him, a little post route right over the middle that I don't forget about. But I mean, those football days were truly something to remember. And I remember for a while here of if I could go back and choose to play a basketball game or a football game, it would be hard not to choose a football game for sure.
Your sophomore year and into your junior year, you knew something wasn't right. And this is the reason that we have you on the episode today here, is to talk about some things that you were going through and you needed some help. And some of the things that were going on, signs or symptoms that you kind of maybe throwing up a red flag a little bit, or something not right here, is you were having a hard time sleeping. You were a little drowsy and tired. You were certainly avoiding social media. And the big thing is living in a state of fear. Did you know at that time what you were going through as far as what those symptoms were of?
A little bit. I think obviously the first thing that kind of stuck out that I remember was a little bit of the social media kind of getting to me. For so long I could go on to Twitter or Instagram or wherever it may be. And when I was in high school, it was always positive, good things of, obviously I most of the times was the best player on the court and was playing well. And so every time you go on there, you could see all the good stuff that people had to say about you and build you up even more. And then I remember kind of the first couple games I had not doing too much and not playing the best basketball, and a lot of people going on there and having not so nice things to say. And that was kind of my first time seeing it, and it kind of made me question myself, question my abilities. And then after that, I think started falling to some sleepless nights. I remember I used to have a hard time sleeping because I would be so excited for games and all that. And I remember thinking, when I become a Wisconsin Badger, I might not be able to sleep because I'll be so excited. Quickly became I would wake up with fear of, what if I miss a shot, or what if I do this wrong? What will the reaction of the fans be, or will my teammates still like me if I miss this shot? And all these just questions and doubts started to run through my head, and I quickly realized that they wouldn't stop. Once one came in, they would just kind of start flooding in my head of, what if this happened? What if this happened? Man, that kind of all just spiraled and translated into the game. And once I started playing like that in the game, it kind of was a downhill spiral with no chance of getting better. So I remember during the Michigan State game in particular, I think we've kind of talked about it before, of I had a pick and roll and a wide open layup, and in my head I was just, don't miss, don't miss, don't miss. I ended up missing a wide open layup, and that was kind of the time I knew, like, this isn't right. I've made that layup hundreds of times before, and sure, a missed layup every once in a while happens, but I just knew in my head that it was because of this, the mental process that I was going through and kind of living with. And it was just kind of every day waking up in the middle of the night, having these fearful thoughts of, what if this happened, what could happen. And that's kind of how it started. And I remember after that Michigan State game, kind of talking to my family, and not even that I had to talk to him. I think kind of you noted too, my family noted too. I think everyone could kind of notice and see the problems that I was dealing with, and that I wasn't fully myself. And that's kind of when I started to take the time and realize that I did need to ask for help and figure out a solution and ways to work through this.
Did you look at it from a standpoint of, I've got one of the two mental health issues going on right now? Is it anxiety? Is it depression? Is it a little bit of both? Because we're so inundated with mental health stuff now, and we're talking about it, and that's kind of why we have you here, is to talk about and get these things out in the open. Were you looking at one or the other? Were you in tune with that at all?
A little bit. I think in my family I've had some people deal with anxiety and depression before, but if I'm going to be 100% honest, I always didn't necessarily believe in it, I guess I would say. Once I put a name to it, and once I kind of understood, when I was so little, before I even knew what anxiety was, before I gave a name to it, I feel like I don't give it as much power. So that was something, even still, I try to avoid. And because like I said, I still
saying
dealt
the
with
A
it.
word.
Yeah, anxiety or depression, just because I feel like once I gave a label to it, or once I gave those feelings a word, it almost gave me a reason to be okay with feeling that way. And I knew that I didn't want to feel that way. I knew those things existed. I never really looked into them because I think my kind of process was I didn't want to give power to those words or have those things be real. But I think after just studying more, working with you more, finding different strategies that work, I was more open to kind of realizing that, hey, I might have anxiety and depression. As much as I don't want to admit it, as much as I want to avoid those words, that I think it took me a lot of time to kind of accept it. But yeah, I mean, it's real. I've dealt with it, and I think it kind of took me a year or so to fully kind of understand what the symptoms are, what the causes are, and what it really means to have anxiety and depression.
What were you doing for coping strategies during that time then?
Well, at first I really had nothing. I mean, I kind of dealt with it, and I thought it would go away, or I'd eventually get over it. And like I said, when that Michigan State game kind of happened, that was kind of like the point where I think we were a little over halfway through the season. It wasn't getting better. If anything, it was only getting worse. And I had started meeting with you, started learning some strategies. And the first strategies I just learned was just to breathe, simply to focus on your breath, kind of the importance of getting back to the present moment when you start noticing your mind starts spiraling down a bad path, just to take a moment, take a deep breath.
Was there a point where you felt like, maybe I need to step away from the basketball and I need to really maybe just focus on my mental health and maybe school, or was it just the mental health stuff? Was there a point at all where you thought maybe I shouldn't be doing the basketball right now for a little bit?
I think there was a point maybe where it crossed in my mind of maybe this isn't the best, or stuff like that for sure. But I think that's kind of the reason I picked Wisconsin and being here. I knew that I'd have the support of my family and friends, and I would never want to let them down. As important it is to take care of my health, like that was something that always drove me. I knew I could get through it, especially with their support along my side. And even if I did get to the point where I thought it wasn't best, I knew they would support me as well. But just being here, I remember there was a point where I just didn't even know if I loved basketball anymore. I always just played it because my love for the game. And then there was a point where I was just kind of dreading going to practice, dreading going to get extra shots up, just because I was going in just a state of fear of going in because, I don't want to miss a shot. I'm going to go get these extra shots up because I don't want to miss in the game. And just kind of that negative mindset of doing it because I didn't want to fail. Where in the past I was always doing it because I love the game. I'm going to shoot all these shots because I want to hit the game winner, or I'm going to pretend I'm out here hitting the game winner. And just kind of that mental frame was just kind of super exhausting when I was doing it to not make a mistake, or that's why I was doing it. And that's kind of when I hit the breaking point of, I don't even love doing this anymore, and it's so much work to have to balance your school and traveling to all these games. And if you don't really love it, it's definitely hard to do and commit all that time to it. So there was a point where I definitely didn't love basketball as much, and a point where I thought maybe about quitting, but never to the point where it got too serious. Like I said, I had all my family and friends around me, like having you by my side and just all the support that I needed to get through this. I knew that eventually that I'd be able to work it out and get on top of it.
Because our listeners want to hear how this all turns out, they want to know a little more about what you did, and then those 5 strategies that you use that I think anybody can use in life for just about anything. We need to talk about our sponsor one more time, and then we're going to shift gears to segment number 2. Buck and Honey's has been with the Survive and Thrive 8791 crew since the beginning. With 4 locations in the Madison area, one is always near. People ask why Buck and Honey's. Owner Tom Anderson places a high priority on the mental health of his employees. He has a mental health professional available for them should they need support. I don't know how many businesses go above and beyond their EAP, Employee Assistance Program, but Buck and Honey's does. After the 2023-24 Badger basketball season, something changed for Carter Gilmore that would resurrect his career and make him one of the more favorite players in history, and I talked about that earlier. You'll find out in segment 2 how Gilly James survived and thrived that time. Please stay tuned. Don't change that channel. You're not going to want to miss segment 2 of Survive and Thrive 8791. We'll be back.
If you, a loved one, or someone you know is experiencing a physical, mental, or emotional crisis, there is help and resources out there. Contact NAMI, the National Alliance on Mental Illness Helpline, at 1-800-950-6264. This is a free service providing information, resource referrals, and support to people living with a mental illness, their family, providers, and the public. United Way 211 is available 24/7, 365 and offers free confidential assistance. They connect people with the local programs and services that can help. Dial 211. Emergency Crisis Services, dial 911. The Suicide Prevention Lifeline, dial 988. To connect via web, chat, visit suicidepreventionlifeline.org. Along with those numbers, there is help. You just need to say 3 words. I need help. Now, back to the show.
We are back. We are back. I was just in Las Vegas. That reminds me of that hangover. We are back. We are back. Welcome back to segment 2 of Survive and Thrive 8791. I'm your host, Coach Tim Decora. The podcast is where I feature guests who share their story in hopes of helping others who may be struggling with what life throws at them. Carter Gilmore is in the Buck and Honey's remote studios today because it's in his DNA. He's been programmed to be of service to others, and he does a darn good job of it. He's going to share his story of surviving and thriving through some anxiety and depression the last 3 years as a college basketball player. So segment 2. Something that you've been great at your whole life now becomes a struggle. And we talked about that in segment 1. In a recent article that appeared in the Wisconsin State Journal by sports writer Michael McCleary, it says you were wound up tight in games. And so you were experiencing some anxiety, some depression, and lived in fear. You talked about some of these things about you maybe thought about stepping away. You didn't. You talked about some of the things you were doing for your mental health, but you really didn't have those coping skills. There are 2 notable experiences that occurred before this season, the 2024-25 season, that would set the stage for your reemergence as a key contributor. There's one that I knew about. We had talked about it off air, and we had talked about previously. And then there was another one that I was unaware of, but I was happy to see because I know Grandpa Jim. I refer to Grandpa Jim as Big Jim, and his white hair. And I've loved that guy ever since I've met him way back in the early mid 90s, somewhere in there. But tell us about the dinner with Grandpa Jim.
I think there was a time last year I was playing at the start of the season, just kind of doing my role. I was only playing like 8 to 15 minutes a game, nothing too crazy. But as I learned kind of those strategies to cope with the anxiety and stuff that came with playing for me, I started to get better, and it wasn't as bad, but it still lingered for sure and affected how I played, and wasn't playing confidently. And in practice, I was able to perform well and do all that, where the coaches obviously decided to play me in the games. And then when I got in the games, I was just a different player. I would pump fake at shots that I would take at practice. I would just not be aggressive or be the full type of player that I was. My grandpa, sure enough, he kind of knew the situation, how it was going. So he drove down to Madison one night and was like, "I'll take you out for dinner." And kind of, we just sat down, talked just about life, how basketball was going. He obviously knew kind of the situation I was dealing with. And he just sat there, listened to me. And he really just said, "Whatever you need, I'm here for you. If quitting basketball or after this season, if you're ready to be done, we support you. We'll help you look for a job or whatever that may be. And if you want to continue playing," he was like, "I fully believe in you. I think you're fully capable of playing here, whether that's here, if you want to transfer, try somewhere else. We're here for you and we fully support you." And so he was just kind of talking to me, just kind of being a helping hand. And at the end of the dinner, I remember we were just about to finish. We got a tear come down. I'm thinking of it, but
this is the best. This is the best part of the story.
Yeah. So we were checking out or getting ready to close the tab, and the waiter came over with a free dessert of Just said like, hey, like I appreciate you playing here and all the little things you do, and being a Badger, representing it the right way. So that was just kind of a cool little experience. My grandpa just kind of looked at me and chuckled, and hey, it's not all too bad over here. And just that was just re-encouraging, and just kind of whatever happened throughout the rest of the year, I knew that he had my back and my family had my back, and that it would all work out in the end.
Second experience, and there was this actually, the next experience can kind of be lumped in to two. So the first one was dinner with Grandpa Jim. The second were 2 trips out of the country. And you and I have talked about this recently, where it was maybe kind of a reset. Mm-hmm. You got away to, we talked about stepping away from basketball, and this was sort of a step away from basketball. You get that couple of weeks off during the summer. Spring session's over, summer session hasn't started going, and you would take some trips out of the country with some buddies of yours, some friends from high school, and then you come back and lo and behold, what you did some laundry and then got back and packed, and then you went away with your aunt and your uncle. You want to touch on, kind of paint the picture there for the listeners a little bit? Talk about that first one.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I think it kind of goes back. It starts with the season. That season ended, and I went in Coach Guard's office, and he kind of hit me with the news that I was going to have to return as a walk-on again if I wanted to come back for my 5th year. And I just remember getting that news, and at first I felt pretty defeated. I think some tears came to my eyes, and I was just like, dang, like, this is kind of what I thought would happen. And just kind of knew, like, all right, they're going to go in the transfer portal. They're going to try to find these guys to replace me and Tyler and all this. And, like, again, the anxiety telling you to just think worst case scenario right away. And that's, I remember how I initially felt. And then once I left that meeting, I think we kind of talked about it before, the F it mentality of, you know what, I was like, just kind of swish. I was like, hey, you know what, if this is the hand I'm dealt and this is what they think of me, F it. I'm just going to go out and have as much fun this last year as I can. I'm going to play my game, play confidently. If I don't play, cool, that's what was going to probably happen anyways. And if I do, cool, it'll all work out. So that was kind of the first mentality where I was like, F it, I'm just going to go have fun. And that's when kind of this first trip popped up. It was actually my girlfriend, Lucy, brought it to my attention that me and some high school friends were all graduating seniors. And so we were going to go over to Europe for about 3 weeks. We did Morocco. We did in Africa. We did the Sahara Desert down there, part of it, Barcelona, Madrid, Switzerland, Ibiza. We did a whole bunch, and just be out there with my friends, and you know, they had no idea what I was going through those meetings or my playing time. I mean, all they had was that we were graduated, we were having fun. It was summer, we were all living life and just making the most of it, how we always did. And that kind of changed my perspective of, in my head, I thought everyone kind of knew the situation I was dealing with, feeling bad for myself, thinking already towards next season of what could happen. And here we were out in the Sahara Desert, not a worry in the world. They had no idea what even the Wisconsin basketball team would look like next year, nor did they.
Nor did you.
Yeah, so, but that was just a big reset of just helping me have fun again, being with my friends, who all obviously love and support me as well. Getting that time away was super neat and cool, just to be with them. And then, I came back. We had a couple-week training session again, and then my aunt and uncle called me again and said they were going back over to Europe and going to do some traveling over there in Croatia and Montenegro and all that. So happily I said yes again, and that's kind of when I sat down with them. And they live right next to us, and we're a super close-knit family. And I got 2 little boy cousins that have always kind of been my little brothers, so they look up to me, and I've always just wanted to be that older brother figure for them. And I just remember talking to them, letting them know like what I was going through, and they always kind of knew. They knew the player I was, and obviously I think, like you said, they wanted me to play with that confidence again that they knew I had. And so we just kind of had a bunch of talks as well as enjoying the vacation, but just let them know what I was dealing with, and they just kind of had the same process. They kind of told me it was okay to have that fuck it mentality of go out there, play your game, and just go out there, believe in yourself, have fun. And that's when I kind of got back and said, all right, screw it, I'm going all in on this kind of process. I'm going to have fun, and whatever happens, happens. And those were some big experiences that kind of helped lead me into this year.
It's just crazy how you've painted the picture of what we all publicly saw on the basketball court of the shot fake, and we're all hoping you would take the shot and go to the basket, but the average Joe saw that, the ex-basketball coach and the guy who's played, myself, saw all of the little intangibles that you were always still doing, playing defense, rebounding. We just had to get over that little hump. And sometimes it takes something like sit down dinner with a grandpa and then having all of these other people see who you are for who you are, which is just a kind, young, of service to everybody, and just a great guy. And I think that overshadowed, believe it or not, probably overshadowed some of the shot fakes and then the not taking the shots. Everybody saw you for who you are, and that's just a real down-to-earth guy who's now got a message to help a lot of people and or help a lot of college athletes and young people to go through and navigate how do I deal with this anxiety and depression of being a college student or athlete. Well, you got to go and tune into this episode number 44 of the Survive and Thrive 8791. There's this Carter Gilmore. He was on there and he talks you through all of the stuff that you're going through. You're not alone. There's this guy that played for the Badgers long time ago, and he's on there. Listen to the podcast. And he details it out, how he survived and thrived, the experiences he had, and what shaped him into a good to great basketball player. Listen to it. Though this is where the subscribers, the followers, and listeners are going to take out the notebooks, pens or pencils, and jot these things down. Here are Carter Gilmore's 5 suggestions that allowed him to survive and thrive. And what has happened in the last 3 to 4 months has actually really 2 months, probably 2.5 months, is resurrection of a basketball career, great basketball player turning into a good to on the verge of some greatness, I think, somewhere in there, coming down the line. How he survived and thrived through a publicly tough time in his life. So I'm gonna toss these in. Do you play softball? Have you played softball before?
Intramural.
Okay,
champ.
some intramural champs. All right. I'm going to toss these in underhand, and you're going to go, and I'm going to say, go ahead and hit that, and you're going to talk about these things. But here are the 5 things that has allowed Carter to survive and thrive. Number 1, build a relationship with God. So hit that.
Yeah, I mean, this is definitely my number 1 for many reasons. I think kind of when I first started going on this journey, I was looking for the secret strategy. I was looking for the secret trick that kind of helped everyone. And I was searching, and everywhere I was looking, there wasn't a one solution. Even the breathing and all those techniques, they help, but it never fully helped me get over kind of that hump like we talked about. And then I just kept on doing more research. I was just hungry to learn how to defeat this. How can I get over this? And the more I just kind of studied, I started just studying a lot of successful athletes, kind of doing, how can I get over this? Looking for other athletes who encountered similar problems to me. And just the main thing that I saw was, and that's something I would encourage other kids to look at, is just if you listen to almost every post-game interview recently of the most successful athletes, teams, coaches, they all talk super highly of their relationship with God and what he's done in their life. And that was kind of the leading point that, all right, I grew up in a Catholic family. I knew who God was. I believed in Jesus, but it was like, all right, let's see what this is really about. I hear it all the time, but I never really opened my Bible. I never really tried to look into it. I never really tried to take away the wisdom that was always sitting right there. And not that it's always reading. Sometimes it's just the conversations and the prayers that you have with God as well. So I remember when I first was going through these problems, I would maybe think of God on Sundays if my parents made me go to church with them. But it wasn't until I went through this process that I was forced to talk to God every day. Just waking up in fear or having those times, he was the only one I could or would talk to during those times, and he was always there, always present. And so I think that was just the biggest one, building a relationship with God, that I talked to him every day.
Okay, number 2, surround yourself with people you love and who love you. Go ahead and hit that.
I think that's always, people talk about keep your circle close, or you become who you hang around the most. So I think that's another reason why I chose Wisconsin. I knew I would be around great people, great coaches, great teammates, great family and friends. So just having that, I think, is always been a big part of my life. Just I know whoever I'm around, I'm going to pick up their habits, what they do, and just being around people who love you and support you for who you are, I think just helps you flourish into the best possible version that you can be. And that's why we're all here, to just help each other out, be the best version of ourselves.
I'm telling you, every time I see a post by your mom, most of the time, there's just a legion of Carter Gilmore people behind you, that tight circle, and then you have another 4,000 or 5,000 people on the end, usually wearing some kind of a different outfit, chanting the Carter Gilmore and the MVP. So not only do you have that tight group of people, but you have an extra 4,000 or 5,000 other people that are pulling for you, including this guy. Mm-hmm. Number 3, live in the moment, be present. Hit that.
Part of the stuff when I started studying and learning this was just how much, I think, myself included, of we project into the future or go back into the past. So a lot of times in people's lives, there's stuff in the past that people get hung up on, of, oh, I should have done this, or I should have made this decision. If only I did this, I could be this. And for me, it wasn't so much the past. Like we kind of said, I was very blessed to have a great upbringing and a very successful past. What for me it was the future, of being afraid of the future, projecting into the future. It would be the night before a game. It would be me thinking of, what if this happened in the next, what if I airballed the shot? All these stuff that if I was just living in the moment, being around the people I'm in, and just doing that activity, it would never even cross my mind. But it was once I let my mind wander into the future, it could just spiral. It would be like a kid daydreaming. So often it was me in class daydreaming about making game-winning shots for the Badgers. But here, when it started going the other way, it was me daydreaming about all the stuff that could go wrong and stuff like that. So the thing that I really learned was just being present and just being in the moment with my family and friends, and just where I was at, that I stopped really worrying as much and stopped projecting in the future, going back to the past.
The work you're doing right now has turned into this amazing story and the resurrection of your career. Number 4, don't be afraid to ask for help or talk with friends and family. Go ahead and hit that.
Yeah. I don't think I was ever necessarily, I guess, afraid to ask for help. I guess you could say I was. I was never really afraid to talk to my family or friends. I think it was obviously something my family and friends could see, as we've kind of talked about. It brought to light when I was out on the basketball court, and I was pump faking and not doing normal stuff that I would. But once I really kind of started going through this and having talks with my family and friends, it just kind of opened me up to, I was living in so much of my own world that I didn't realize how many problems these other people are going through, how many people are kind of dealing with these same little struggles. And sure, mine might be highlighted because it's on the basketball court, or I have all the social media behind it and all that stuff. I just realized right here in front of me all the people that deal with this, go through this, and it was just kind of an eye-opener to, not be afraid to talk about your problems, but also if you talk about yours, you can also see what's going on in other people's lives. And Jesus calls us to be a servant, and I think that's another way you can get out of your own head, is knowing what problems your family and friends are dealing with. What ways can you be of service to them? How can you help them? To not just always make it about yourself. When you're thinking about yourself, that's how you can get wound up even more in that anxiety and depression. So that's where I think the family and friends come in. Like I said, I wouldn't be here without you and the help you've provided me, and just having someone to talk to, bouncing off strategies, ideas, things that are going on. It's been a huge help.
Number 5, and this kind of, we're going to bookend this whole thing with God and your faith. So let God take control, trust him and his plans, not yours. And maybe just kind of listening to you talk about it in part 1, is that sometimes you have to maybe go away from God to bring you back a little bit, and you had to go out on your own, and maybe I'm going to do it Carter's way because it worked really well in high school, and then you drifted away, and then now it sounds like you're back to God a lot stronger. Go ahead, hit that.
I think I still remember kind of starting this season off, first couple games I still passed up a couple shots, And then there was one game in particular, we were out in the Greenbrier tournament playing Pittsburgh, I believe. I played like
in some little broom closet like we're in right now, right? Some little small little gym.
It wasn't the best shooter's gym for sure, except unless you're John Tonje. Every gym works for you. But I remember being in there. I didn't really like shooting in there to begin with, but then I passed up a shot or two. They were playing me sagging off, kind of like how teams did in the past, and I passed up a shot and then missed my next one. And he took me out for the rest of the game, and I just remember sitting there like, wow, I played 2 minutes, and some other guys behind me started playing. I was like, oh boy, is this it all over again? And I remember we ended up winning the game, and it was all good, and I just remember coming back and praying with God again, and I just really felt him saying, I just remember the saying of let go and let God, and I could just feel myself, trying to control so much of how this was all going to work out, trying to control what I was going to do after this, trying to place all these pieces together. And that's just kind of what I was doing for so long without me even realizing was, like I said, I wanted to be the inspiration. I wanted to be able to tell this story. I was trying to put all the pieces together so that it would all work out. And once I realized, like, hey, I can't do this anymore. Like, I've tried as hard as I can. It's not working. It's making it worse. And then I just kind of said a prayer of, God, I'm trusting you. Like, we'll see if it works. But if I learned one thing along this journey, that you're the answer, that you've helped me out, you've helped me get this far, and that I know that I can't control this anymore because it's just causing me to be more anxious, more depressed, and think about it more. And once I just kind of prayed that prayer and just finally took my hands off and let him control it, and just knowing that, hey, whatever happens is going to happen. I'm going to have to be adaptable. I have to trust him. And that doesn't mean you just take your foot off the gas, stop working hard, all that stuff. Do that just as hard, but you just pay attention to how he's working throughout your life. Let him take control. And one thing I've always journaled, just at the end of the day, how did God work through me or others today? Just to kind of keep my focus on him and letting him take control. It's just helped me just take a deep breath and kind of relax. And I just remember I went into the next game against Michigan saying, hey, we're going into this game full of confidence. You're going to shoot the ball with confidence, and God's in control. Whatever happens, happens. And I went 1 from 3 for 3, but I remember I shot the 1-3 I made with full confidence. And once that one fell, it was kind of more like, hey, you shot that one, you made it, you missed your 2. In the past, you would have stopped shooting after those 2, but this time you're going to keep shooting, and you can make it because you're confident, you're feeling good. And really ever since that, the rest has been history, and hopefully we can keep going from here.
Yeah, I tell you what, the surviving, it took, 4 years, 3.5, 4 years to kind of get to this point, and you embracing, and sometimes you had to go away. We talked about it, you had to go away a little bit to come back to God, and I think it's finding that balance, and you got to find it, and you don't know until you get it, and it sounds like you got it. You're balancing the hard work that you put in, and you, like you said, you still got to put it in, but then you also still have to have some faith, and it sounds like you have a ton of faith, and I think it's going to carry you into the next couple of games and the end of the season here, and the NCAA tournament should that come. Mm-hmm. What an episode. I'm so glad you could join the Survive and Thrive 8791 crew today. Your journey through anxiety and depression and where it has taken you has been nothing short of inspiring. It truly is. Many college students or student athletes in your position might choose a different path, unhealthy coping strategies, or to not do anything at all, but you didn't. Today you shared your story that reminded us how important taking your mental health seriously can help in so many ways, and for you it's helped you to play confidently as a basketball player, and to now you're going to take your story and inspire others, and your play has been inspirational to the city, the university, the state of Wisconsin, and all of those alumni that are across the United States that are watching you. You got a ton of people pulling for you. Our call to action, Carter Gilmore just shared his inspiring story and what can occur when you put your mental health and wellness first, as well as his faith. He also shared his 5 suggestions that helped him get through a physically and mentally challenging time in his life. And those 5 things were: build a relationship with God, Surround yourself with people who you love and who love you. Live in the moment. Be present. Number 4, don't be afraid to ask for help or talk with friends and family, and be adaptable. And number 5, let God take control. Let go, let God, he said. Trust him and his plans, not your own. As we close, final thoughts, as we close with another great episode of Survive and Thrive 8791, are there any final thoughts, Gilly, James? Any final thoughts?
Man, not really. If I could just say one thing, it would just be always believe in yourself, have fun. We got one life to live. I just want everyone to live it to the absolute fullest. So whatever it takes for you to get to that point where you can, do it. And yeah, that's my motto. Just live your life to the fullest.
Do you got anything to say as the unofficial mayor of Madison? Do you have anything to say to your diehard fans across America, not just in Madison and Dane County and the campus, but anything to say to your fans across America?
Just thanks for all the support that makes it all worth it, and just hope I can keep making all of you guys proud.
Well, I know you have a legion of tight-knit family, and I'm glad to be kind of a part of that, of making us all proud, and you truly are, and you don't really have to do anything more. We're still all going to be there with you. On our next episode of Survive and Thrive 8791, we will have another amazing guest in the Buck and Honey's remote studios who will share how they learned to survive and thrive. If you have a story to share or you know someone who does, please reach out to me at tdecora@gmail.com. Until next time, hang in there with whatever you happen to be going through, and with hard work, dedication, and determination, you can survive and thrive. Until next time, take care.